Okay, well, I think we're good. We'll call this to order at 6:11. Did everyone get a chance to look at the previous minutes from last month's meeting?
Yes.
Okay, if I can get someone to make a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Is that
Second.
Chad?
Chad.
And a second?
Second.
That
Is
was
that Carrie?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll call that unanimous. Moving on to the membership updates. So same as last time. Let's see. So it looks like Paul is up on March of this year. So we'll need to, I'll contact him. And then looks like I'm up in July. Annette is August. And Carrie, you're August as well, but we'll have a couple more meetings before then. So that way I can remind you to make sure to put in the application. Okay, so we're good there.
Did Annette contact you, JW?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I got an email from both her and I spoke with John Carreri, and they're both excused for this meeting. And actually, I think he just. Paul, are you in?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So I'll save me the extra phone call. I think you're up March 18th of this year for
Yeah.
renewal.
Yes, I talked to Raisa.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
Okay, good. I figured you'd be on top of it, but I'd remind you just in case. All right. Good. Okay, so membership updates were good there. I don't think Route 40 ad hoc or Blemheim is met that I'm aware of. Tim, any new grants for the roads?
No, not at this time, no.
Okay. Anything new with the state for that traffic pattern around the old set? So basically Ohio, anything new with the state for Ohio Street?
Other than they haven't moved forward with anything as far as the other than the traffic study they did. There's no other movement forward with that.
Okay.
No.
Did you get my reply on my comments for the traffic study?
Yes, let me pull those up real quick.
Thank you.
Yes, so I did get it. It looks like you sent them to Tim as well, so that way he can hopefully share some of that the next time they meet. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think you're the only one who sent me. I didn't get emails from anyone else as far as notes on that traffic study report. Correct? Okay. I thought so. So Tim, if you get a chance to take a look at those, and then the next time you meet with the MTA guys, if you can relay those concerns as well.
Sure.
Okay. And I can re-forward the email too if you don't have it.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that if you could. Thanks.
Yes, I'll write myself I'll write myself a note right now to make sure that I do it. Thanks again for looking at that, Carrie. All right, safe routes to new schools. So I think point number one of that is the sidewalk project. So were we able to, and I'm trying to remember, Tim, I know was that in the New Year's budget in this new one coming up?
That is in the New Year's budget yes, I put that in this year's capital project budget for this coming fiscal year's capital project budget, with upgrades to Juniata Street as well. So it's going to be improvements to the crosswalks as far as painting and striping and all. I'm not putting up any like crossing, electronic crossing, but I'm actually upgrading the pedestrian striping, sidewalks, and the road paving.
Okay. So that's the 22-23 fiscal year, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then as far as and I guess hopefully when you're doing that, will you be able to work with, or maybe hopefully try and work with the state? Because I know some of those crossings they were planning on updating anyway, on at least the Juniata crossings. So maybe see if we can get all that done at the same time if they're able.
Sure, I can work with the state, yes. See what they're up to. Yes, I can do that.
Yeah, because that might be, because you know what will end up happening. We'll make it nice, then they'll come in and try and upgrade those, and it'll end up just tearing it up.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we could get it all done at once, that'd probably be hopefully be the best way to do it. That parking lot down by the Tidewater Grill and the Legion. I think last time we talked, the water pumping that's project is done, right? So we're just waiting on it being warm enough to pour or to do asphalt, then do the lines after that. Correct?
That's correct. We're waiting for warmer temperatures, yes.
Okay. And then I guess, is that going to get done at the same, or I guess is the time frame for that about the same as what they're doing at David Craig Park and Gene Roberts?
No, it'll probably be sooner than that, sooner than
Okay.
later. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. As far as the other pedestrian activated crossings, do we know if the state has had any movement on the that one that's right there at the school?
Not yet, because they're still waiting on me to get the contractor to do the road improvements. So you're talking about at the intersection of
Should be Lewis
Revolution,
and
Old Post Road, and Lewis.
yes.
Yes, still waiting on me to do the intersection improvements and road improvements there. The contractor's having a difficult time in supply, so
Okay.
that's been an issue.
Yeah. Well, I think the supply thing is an issue just about everywhere now.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with that. So we're still waiting for him to get the materials to start. So
Okay. Purple street lights. So that I believe after that last meeting, Corporal Terry was able to pin that map up. So that map should be up, and we can probably reshare it again if we need to. But you can go to the interactive map to report any of those lights, and you don't have to use that. You can obviously report it through the website as well. But I know when I drive around, I still see them every now and then. Let's see. Bus stops in town. Casey, did we have any, and for some reason I was thinking that one might be you, the bus stop thing. Did we get any more information on that?
The issue was that they were changed, and that was through
Right.
Public County, working with the city of Havre de Grace to put them in locations that were safer and not as much congestion. So yes, it was moved away from in front of the what is it, the St. John's Towers.
St. John's Towers.
They moved it all the way around to another location.
And they're putting in those, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, you have to pour concrete before they can put in the enclosures, and then those will be pretty much permanent
That's correct.
things.
I just haven't gotten to, again, the weather, and just trying to get everything coordinated with the guys from the transportation. I have to meet with him first, so I've got to get some kind of meeting set up with him to go through and make sure the locations, because we poured a couple of slabs and he came back and said they weren't quite right. So before I pour any more slabs, we're going to stake them out and have him come out and look at them, make sure they're good. So
Okay.
I just never had that meeting schedule yet.
No, I understand. I think that one can probably fall off then, because it sounds like that's well underway. That really it's just down the stops are set. We're just down to pouring the pads, and that's just where they're going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. So now we're down to the as far as the noise on the city streets. And I'm trying to remember. I apologize. I didn't have as much prep time as I usually do. Corporal Terry, on that one, were you able to contact anyone down in Ocean City to find out what they were doing and if it's anything different than what we were doing?
I did contact them, and they have a special their event zone ordinance that they have through the Governor Hogan had signed in, which is similar to like a construction zone where they can throw that up at any time, and they'll say this area is a special event zone. They change the fines, they lower the speeds in the area, they saturate those areas with up to probably 100 officers sometime, depending on the event, where they basically consist that special area. Now, as far as day-to-day things, when there's no special events going on, like the regular quality of life issues and stuff like that, they do have a 7 to 10 man designated traffic unit. That's all they do is traffic. So there's a differences because they just have the giant manpower to pull from to do things like that, where we just don't have designated traffic people. That's all they do is traffic, if you understand what I'm saying.
No, I do.
I have pulled this traffic stats for us, and we, since January to present, we've done 110 traffic stops in town. So I'm trying to push that out there to the officers to pick up on the zeros for the equipment violations and try to just catch some of these people who are habitual offenders of the noise kind of things. Out of those 110, I couldn't go in and actually see which ones were noise things. They were just 110 traffic stops. So, but like, we're on it. We're just, weather's going to get warmer. There's going to be more people out there driving. So we're just going to have to keep hitting them with what we have, and hopefully we can get it under control.
And I understand. I mean, they're a much bigger town than us. I would expect that they have better stuff too. So, I mean, that makes sense. It sounds like we're not deficient on anything. It's just, we're a smaller town, so we can't put 7 officers on just doing that without something else being hurt considerably.
Right. I'd say like they have a major problem with those events, or ours is more of a nuisance right now. We're trying to get a hold of the nuisance and keep that limited as much as we can.
Right. Well, and that'll keep it from becoming a problem by,
Correct.
So, okay.
Correct.
Well, that's all good to hear.
I will ask, there is a sergeant that we have who works traffic grants and stuff, and some of those are aggressive driving grants. Some of them are like drunk driving grants, different ones for different things. I can get with him and see if once the weather warms up, if we could, and those type vehicles are out, get a grant that would address some of those things, and that will pay overtime to officers that just do nothing but traffic and look at those kind of issues. If that might help out.
Okay.
So
that'd be great. Yeah. So I've got our next meeting slated for April. So if between now and then, if you get a chance to do that,
definitely,
that'd be great.
Definitely.
I have a question.
Yes.
At one point, the conversation for us was that we didn't have the technology available to say whether or not a vehicle was making more noise than it's allowed. So do we still need that piece of equipment?
Yeah, I don't know if that is going to change anything, only because the way the ordinance for us is written is that it's operating within manufacturer's specifications in such a manner as to cause a noise disturbance. It shall be unlawful. Now, that doesn't, to me, define, is it the original equipment manufacturer's recommendation, or is if you go buy a muffler and put it on your car, that manufacturer that made that, is that muffler in specs with their manufacturer's specification? You know what I mean? So
is that a state ordinance, or is that a municipal ordinance?
Well, that's a municipal one that I was looking at for that infraction, but we would still write a zero. We could still write a zero for something like that, which is safety equipment repair order. And it would be up to them to take it to a mechanic shop to verify whether it's within compliance.
Do we need to change our ordinance?
That I don't know. if you look at Ocean City's ordinance, theirs is similar, but theirs has specific times like midnight to 7 a.m., things like that, that include loud noises from vehicles. Ours doesn't really have a specific time for vehicles. It has specific times for other things like lawnmowers, construction, things like that. So I think that it's better the way that it doesn't have a specific time in it where for vehicles. So I don't know. I don't have an exact answer for that question. We can still write the repair orders and pull them over and do what we're doing.
But does that, if we, okay, so we pull people over for their vehicle, saying that it creates a nuisance and you need a repair order. But the question is whether or not it's the manufacturer's design.
Correct.
The repair order, when you go, they'll have to go back and get it re-inspected
Right.
in that inspection station is the one that would actually provide the yellow slip or pink slip to
Authorize it. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
saying that it's good. And now that that's electronic, you can't just take a yellow piece of paper or pink piece of paper to the DMV or wherever and say it's good.
Yeah, but who's to say, I mean, he brings up a good point. Is the muffler is making noise as it is designed. My dog wants popcorn. As it's designed, and it's designed to make noise. So it's doing what it's designed to do, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying as far as the way it's written, the manufacturer's specifications. Then maybe that ordinance should be looked at as far as definitions.
Oh, is Paul, aren't Paul?
Yes,
were
I'm
you
here.
around- Were you around when we wrote that ordinance?
We might, I don't think we drafted it initially. We may have modified it. But I'll be happy to look at that.
Okay.
The other thing about car muffler noise, the last time I had one of these cases in court, there's a certain noise level they can't be greater than the last time I looked at the statute, but no jurisdictions have that device that can read that level.
Right.
And then, the judges can look up and see if their machine's been calibrated, like a radar gun or anything like that. The state doesn't have that capability right now. There's another half of that code, though, that talks about someone who purposefully is revving their car in a way to disturb people. You know what I mean? Like if you're sitting at a red light and just high RPM revving the car, or if you're going down the road, you pop it in neutral and you rev it like that. That's another basis for pulling someone over. But that's a tough case. It has to be pretty egregious. If you don't have the device that just measures the decibel level. And I guess I would ask the officer, would you want to be writing tickets for, purposeful revving to disturb a neighborhood? I mean, does that sound like something you want to do?
Not really. It just sounds, it's just something that's going to be hard to prove.
Yeah, it's very subjective. Now, the case that I had, it was really, it turned out to be very egregious. And luckily for the officer, there was another officer parked like at a store where this guy had gone by, and that officer being the star witness in the case. So it was obvious what this kid in Bel Air was doing. But you know, when you start writing these tickets, you know, these kids know about the decibel levels because it's in the statute, you know, and
Mhm.
they know no jurisdictions have these devices that, you know, just like a radar gun, you can just say, yep, you violated it. Do we have anything like that, you know, from a hardware standpoint that the city can look to? I imagine it's expensive.
Not that I'm aware
Or
of.
better than that, does the state have something that could be used for that?
They do make them. The
Are you
state,
aware of them having things?
they do have them, Casey, I'll tell you. And I think there was a group making them and trying to sell them, but you don't see these kinds of tickets written from a state level standpoint. You know, this is something that would be a financial cost to buy them, to maintain them, calibrate them.
Train.
You know, and I think Ocean City may have to do that because they're so big and they get so many of these cars coming. But I guess it's a financial consideration if it's going to be that big a deal.
I just want to know if it exists or not, if we could get it for just, I don't know, 2 or 3 times during the year, to discourage people from driving through and purposely making those obnoxious noises. Okay, I did contact MML on this, and they said that they were aware of a couple of other cities that were trying to work on this issue, but they did not send me anything conclusively at this time because they're heavily in session right now.
Oh, right.
So I'm hoping to get more from them on that.
But isn't it against the law to tamper with the sound system, especially when you remove catalytic converters or bypass? That's EPA.
I try to get our delegates to think about having this as something that they look for during the vehicle inspection program, but that didn't get anywhere. They were not interested in picking that up.
But that's part of what they're doing with their EIP testing, correct?
Now, the vehicle inspection program literally is only looking to make sure that the vehicle is not
That it's safe.
it's processing, yeah, well, that it's safe, but also that it's processing the emissions and cleaning the emissions and not polluting the air.
Right, and when they put the modified exhaust systems on, they're bypassing a catalytic, aren't they?
I don't know the technical things if it does it to the point that it creates pollution.
And plus
Well, my
anything
guess
that's
would be if you've
diesel,
got the expertise to do this, you probably also have the expertise to pass the inspection and then undo it,
correct.
I would assume.
And there's no emissions test for diesel vehicles. So these big diesel trucks that alter their vehicles, and those are kind of allowed to. So there's just things like that that you have to think of as well. Anything historic isn't going through an emissions test. So the old
So
69 Camaro with no exhaust whatsoever on it going up the road isn't going through an emission test.
Right. So you're not aware of any municipality who currently has a means of testing the sound. The dog. Stop it.
No, I'm not. I know if you drive through like certain towns in like Pennsylvania, there's signs. I'm gonna call those signs, they're like bluff signs. I'm sure these
Yeah.
little teeny tiny towns don't have money to buy that equipment or have someone to sit there and watch it and enforce it. So signage, I don't know
But
if
that
that's gonna
equipment
change.
doesn't exist, right? You're aware of that equipment?
I'm not aware of that. Mr. Carreri brought that up a while back that equipment exists, but I've not seen that myself.
Is there a way for you to to find out if it does exist? I mean, I don't
Well,
know if
there's
there's such a
Google.
thing as
Mhm.
you
Well,
guys don't have vendors
yeah,
that
maybe.
come by and
Not for that kind of stuff. No, we
not for that
we
kind of
don't.
stuff?
No.
What kind of equipment, Casey, are you asking? Are you asking something that checks if you've removed the catalytic converter?
No, noise that identifies the decibel level.
Oh, absolutely, it exists. I researched this. I say I had a court case on it, and it does exist. It's commercially available. It's very expensive, and you have
What
to
is very
train someone.
expensive?
Huh?
What is very expensive?
Oh gosh, the last time I looked, the unit, I think it was around $1,000, and then you have
Okay.
to and then you have to calibrate it every year and train someone how to use it. Then you have to become an expert in it.
Okay.
So there's a cost. I don't know what the calibration costs. And then obviously once you start writing tickets like that, you're sending someone to court. So it does have an indirect cost as well. But if
And
you're
what
writing
is the
tickets and
ticket?
making money
What is
on
the
it,
ticket price? Like how
Yeah.
much is the ticket worth?
oh, well, there are preset tickets for most everything. I don't know, officer, do you know what the presets are for that part of the code?
No, not for that one. I don't have a code
I'm
book
pretty
with me.
sure it's the non-moving types. So it's probably gonna be like $50.
Okay. Okay, I'll still work on this. I think
If I
this
can
is something
find
that the
my
mayor is
search-
also interested in.
Yeah, if I can find my search material, Casey, I'll forward it to you.
Yeah. The mayor is interested in this and, maybe it's even something that we can ask several municipalities to go in together if I can find who the other municipalities are that are interested in it. Maybe we work together to procure this and maybe.
This is
have a
Cheryl again.
team.
Do we have a large number of cars in the area who have these type of equipment? I think we've been talking so long about this. The thought is, how many cars do we have that, have this issue?
Ms. Cheryl, you can sit down by the park or any given night in the spring and summer, and it seems like it's constant. Like one right after another.
That, the speakers, the thumping.
Yeah, but that's at the park. I mean, I thought you were talking about it was the whole town in communities and so forth. I mean, in
They drive all around.
developments. They drive all around. Okay, that
They-
used to be something we did as kids. I keep telling y'all keep taking all the stuff for the kids to do. Then you want to know why they want to shoot at your house.
Well, I think we can move on from this one. It sounds like the action items are Casey's going to follow up with MML to see what some other jurisdictions are doing. Corporal Terry, I guess, was going to look into if you get a chance between you and Casey with the cost of, I guess, if we were to try and procure something like that. But my guess is it sounds expensive between the officer cost and I can't imagine the item is going to be cheap and then upkeep on it. But look into that kind of stuff. And then we can revisit it again in April. The parking in Greenway Farms, I did want to get to that. Tim, did you have a chance to get anyone up there to see which sides of those roads to get us the stat?
I did. I looked at on the Runckus Drive. I guess you could put no parking next on the side where the community center is.
Okay.
But on the other two roads, Powelton and it's the other Satcham, it doesn't matter which side; they're both the same. So there's no difference on which side you put signs up. Now, I'm kind of like, you're entering into a hornet's nest on this, and I'd prefer that the HOA is making the decision, that they also make the decision on which side of the road to put on, because I don't want to be taking calls as why you pick my side of the road. And
no,
So
No,
But,
I completely understand. I think that's why, like with the last time, we just wanted numbers, approximate numbers to see if we could make a recommendation. Because in the end, I don't think we're picking. I don't think we technically picked the side last time either. I think we made a recommendation to the HOA and they approved the recommendation, which put it on them.
Yeah. But it's on the other two roads, Runckus, you want to put it on the side next to where the community center is.
Okay.
But on the other two roads, the parking layouts and the house layouts are identical. So it's the same number of parking spaces are on either side of the road in both the other two locations. So it's just picking one side over the other.
Okay. All right.
So are we saying that the committee will look at it and make a recommendation, JW?
Well, so I think what we'll do with both of those sides of Powhatan and Sachem being the same, and then for the other one, we'll make the recommendation for the other one to put the signs on that, on the side that's the least amount, and on the other one, the recommendation to the HOA will be, it's really your choice. You tell us which side of the road you want the signs to go up on, and then we would be the ones to put the signs up. Is at least the unless anyone feels strongly in one way or the other. I think that's the recommendation we should make, given what Tim just told us.
Well, I think I understand Tim doesn't want to, field the calls, but last time the committee recommended, I think the committee should just make that recommendation again and tell them that's our recommendation. If they decide to go with it, great. If they want to say, no, we want to do the other side. But I think you got to kind of lead them and say, we're closing one, we recommend this side. If they say, yeah, great, fine. If they say, no, let's do the other, fine. We won't care or object, I guess is my point.
Okay. That's fair. Tim, when you were, or I guess if both Sachem and, so on at least the Powhatan one, just looking at it, if I guess, let's see, if you're coming off of Mohegan going towards Minqua, just looking at the map, if you were to pick the left-hand side of that street, that I would guess would be technically less cars because there's a cross street there. That would be my recommendation. I would assume, because if the left-hand side, I think would have at minimum maybe 2 or 3 less spots possible, only because of the cross street that attaches it. The other one doesn't, there are no cross streets, and I could try and take a drive up there the next couple days to see practically if
they're just be consistent, what side of the street?
We could. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what side of Mohegan we picked. Does anyone else?
It was the left-hand side. Was you're going up.
As you're going up Mohegan, was the left-hand side?
Yeah, it was the left-hand side. Why don't we let the hose company decide which side they would prefer when they come in? Because they're the one with the emergency vehicles and how they would approach and what lanes that they would want open. If that's the issue, which I'm assuming is the Susquehanna Hose Company, why don't we let them make that decision as to how they would enter the site they would prefer?
Well, I think that's what, Chad or I can do. We'll talk to the chief and I can bring that to the committee. But I think the committee should ultimately make that choice. That's what the committee's for. So, but I agree with you, Tim. We should hear what the hose company thinks.
Chad is me. Is who is me?
Either Chad or I can bring it.
Me is Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Me is Paul.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Paul.
You got it. Is that okay? Do you want, is Chad, I don't know if Chad's on the line.
Yeah, I'm here, Paul, and I agree. I mean, we should bring a recommendation back, but I don't think we should make the decision. We as the committee should, not Susquehanna Hose Company.
Right.
Do you think it's possible to hurry up and make the decision? Because we're extending this. This is now the 3rd month we're going to be talking about this.
Well, it's not going to be overnight. They're going to want to go out and ride through and, make a good decision, not just what they think.
Well, how about this then? We can extend if unless anyone has an issue with this, because I've got our next meeting, like I said, scheduled for April. So before that meeting, if Chad and Paul are able to get an answer from the hose company, we can just shoot that around in an email and then hold the email vote that we talked about potentially being able to do in between the last month, but we weren't able to get anyone up there to get the numbers. So maybe what we can do this time is. When they get that answer, we'll email it around to everyone, and then we'll do a quick email poll of the members to make sure that we're good with what the recommendation will be. I'll type up the recommendation, send it around to everyone, make any changes we need to make, and then go from there.
So what roads are we looking for them to comment? This is Casey.
Okay, so the roads we're looking at were Rancocas, Satcham,
And Palatine.
and Powhatan.
Will you send us a little map, JW, when you send your motion?
Yes, I can do. I should be able to do a screen grab of just a Google Maps of that area. That's what I'm looking at now. I just pulled up the Google Maps to look at the three of them. But then after we get, Paul, do you want me to send that to you guys before or after, like before the recommendation, or do you want me to send it like just to you and Chad so you guys know what areas we're looking?
Yeah,
Say send that
yeah,
now.
send it to Chad and
Yeah.
myself. Yeah, send that to us and we'll take it to the chief.
But one thing we do need to understand is that, I talked to a resident that lives there, on that street, and the question was, I was up there yet today. I drove up and looked at the parking, and I ran into somebody on there, and the question he raised was, where do I park? I mean, that's the issue, is a lot of these people park. We try to measure parking places. It's really taken up by driveways. So people are literally just parking in front of their houses, and some is almost blocking their driveways. It's going to have an impact on people. It's going to be tough. I don't know where they intend to park. I guess that's the question. I don't know. It's just going to be, they're not, like I said, the gentleman wasn't thrilled about it at all. But, I guess that's the real question is where do these people park? Can we take this parking off of one side? It's difficult. They don't have basements. So a lot of these people store their stuff in their garage and they just have the driveway. It is going to be tough. So
did this come to us from just citizens, or did this come from the HOA?
Came from the HOA this time.
Okay. And there's citizens that are concerned, like Tim's saying. It sounds like they have some things that they need to hash out amongst themselves before we put down a recommendation to the city.
Well, the recommendation that the committee makes will go back to their HOA, and then their HOA is the one who's going to make the decision, just like they did with Mohegan. So it's not going to be on us. We're going to make the recommendation to them, and then they will tell the city what side that they wanted to take. So if they want to take nothing, the only problem that I would have at this point is that it's been raised as a safety concern. And if you guys can't get a truck up and down those streets, then we really have to figure something out. Because if it truly is a safety concern, like we're saying, and there's a problem getting an ambulance up and down that street, that is something that we're going to have to deal with one way or the other, in my opinion.
We'll get that information to you.
Right. And that's where you guys checking it out will help greatly, because when you come back with a recommendation of what you guys, and I'm sorry, when I say you guys, I mean the hose, the ambulance and the hose corps, and certainly let John, I'll put John on the email as well. So that way he can also.
That's good. That's a good idea.
Yeah. So I'll put all three of you on. I know John's going to be out of commission a little bit, so I'm sure he'll forward it to the appropriate people on his side. But I think that's the best way to deal with that. Okay, does anyone else have any other comments on that? All right. Moving into the next thing, which was the speed cameras in town. I'm not sure we'd be able to do that without taking a giant undertaking. I think this might be something that is a little out of our purview. If anyone else feels differently, certainly let me know. But I feel like this is something that we may want to elevate on either council level or talk to the mayor about, and let them deal with something like that. I think that might be. It's not going to be just one camera. If I have a feeling if something like that were to happen, it's going to be multiple and it's going to be town wide. It won't be just a one-off in one area. So I feel like that might be something that is a little out of our purview.
I honestly believe it should go through the police department. If it's something that they would like to do, then it needs to be included in their budget.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. I just wanted to kind of either decide whether we were going to keep it on our agenda or take it off. And in my opinion, I feel like it's something that's a little too big for our purview. Like I said, if anyone feels differently, please let me know, and we can certainly vote on it as whether it's something we want to keep devoting our time to or not.
I agree with you, JW. I believe it should be a council issue as far as there's going to be studies are going to have to be done for that, and equipment, training, things. It's going to be a big ticket item, I believe. So.
Yeah, that's going to be, I tend to agree as well. This is Tim. It's going to be a big capital project expenditure, and it's got to be something through the council. It's going to have to, the mayor and council are going to have to support that.
Right. Well, it starts by putting it in the mayor's budget, because that's how it works. If you want something like that, you put it in the budget, and then the council reviews it.
Yeah, but the question is, do we need to deal with it? Do we need to take it off our agenda? I think that's what JW is asking.
Yes.
I don't think we need it. I think it needs to come from the police department. And
Okay. So it kind of sounds like we're all sort of in agreement that as far as the street traffic safety goes, we can remove that from as far as our agenda goes. And that's something that needs to be elevated either through the police department or another organization that would handle that. That's a bit, like I said, out of our purview. The last thing that I have on our agenda is the in-person meetings. And personally, I'd kind of like to start getting back into that if there's a way that we can safely do it. I know most of my other meetings are in person now. I will talk with the city and see I guess, what their plan is and what they're doing as far as getting back to in-person meetings. I won't make any determinations about the April meeting yet. I will send out an email and let everyone know what I find out from the city, and then we can make a determination as it gets a little closer, maybe either end of March, beginning of April, as to whether we want to stay on Zoom or when we want to try and resume in-person meetings. I guess, does anyone else feel strongly one way or the other? Okay. So like I said, I'll check into that and then let everyone know. Moving forward from that, any new comments that anyone has heard from citizens around town of anything that we can help with? Okay. Any comments from the committee members of anything that you guys have noticed? Okay. Well, unless anyone has anything else, I've got our next meeting slated for April 20th. Yes.
I have a question. So we're going to be having a new development come online up on the hill. I know, so that we don't have this situation again with the parking and the width of streets. Is there something that we should do as a committee, or is this, not something we even have to worry about because Tim's got his hands on it moving forward?
Well, I think it's a planning, if I'm not mistaken, and Tim, certainly correct me if I'm wrong, when those new developments go in, I believe they have to put go through planning and zoning map out where all their parking is and all that kind of stuff. And if they don't get any type of variance, there's a certain number of parking spots they're supposed to have per house. Now, I have no idea as far as Greenway Farms, what happened when that went in. I don't know if that's to current code or if that was a different code, but I know there's supposed to be some kind of code that we're following for new development.
That is correct. The Greenway Farms, I'm not quite sure the past history and because I had issues when they came in with sections 2 and 3, because it's basically repeating the same mistakes of the first other section. And our hands were tied because for whatever reason, the previous, goes way back, the previous director of planning committed to these very narrow streets and high density for the Greenway Farms. And as a result, you have this situation where, where people, unfortunately, they don't have basements. So people use their garages to store their stuff. And, they park out in the driving pad. They also, a lot of families now, make 2 cars. It's usually 3, families usually have 3 cars now. It's more of a 3-car issue. And that's what's the problem. But on the future developments up on the hill, I guess you're talking about this, before you're talking about the green property, that's totally different, and the street width and those type of things are taken into consideration. So, and for parking, off-street parking. So, we're not looking at any type of issues happening like we have at Greenway Farms. It's a very unique situation. Not quite sure, but it was really one of those things with very narrow streets and in very high density, which they got approval for through the previous planning commission. But we don't anticipate that to be in any future developments.
Okay.
Okay. Well, if that works for everyone, anyone else have any other new comments?
Before we
No,
close?
I have none.
You got it?
Okay. Well, moving from that, like I said, our next meeting will be end of April, so April 25th. Hopefully we'll be able to meet in person, because I would like to see you guys in person again sooner rather than later if possible. Like I said, if not, I will let everyone know certainly before then. I am going to call the meeting it looks like we're at 6:58. So thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. See ya.
Have a good night.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.